Hello, everyone, and thanks for listening to the Quality Hub, chatting with ISO experts. I'm your host, Xavier Francis, and today I'm here with Norm Verbeck, consultant from here at Core Business Solutions. Glad you could join us.
Great to be here, Xavier.
I know we've had you here a few times and always a great conversation. Now, this week's podcast, we're going to be talking about engaging your workforce. But before we begin, let's just hear a little bit more about Norm as he tells us about his experience and journeys.
Sure. So with our topic today, as far as engaging the workforce, so prior to coming on as a consultant with Core, I have roughly about 20 years experience in a couple different large corporations. So it was definitely an important attribute to make sure your workforce was engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's important in ISO as well. Well, let's dive right in. What do you say?
Sure.
All right. So you said it's important, but why is it so important to engage your workforce?
So by engaging your employees, it's really important to both the success and the longevity of the business.
Okay.
So engaged employees tend to stay with the company longer versus those that may not feel engaged.
Right.
They also can experience less burnout in their roles within the company. They can help attract new customers and even deliver better service to existing customers. And they also provide better outcomes at work overall.
Better all the way around the board.
Better performance,
Yep. And when they're engaged, they're going to do better. They're going to want to stay there. If they're not burning out, they're still happy. They're still looking to do their job at the highest level they can. New customers is always good. Services are great. And just overall better outcomes. Okay.
Absolutely.
Those are a lot of good reasons why it's important to engage your workforce. Now, I know ISO 9001 doesn't specifically talk about employee engagement, but it's kind of there in between the lines, if you will. But how can it affect your QMS both negatively and positively?
Sure. So that, again, it can kind of be a spectrum along those lines from a negative versus positive. But as far as if there's a lack of engagement, so negatively, that could impact the quality management system. They may not understand what their roles or how they contribute to the success of the quality management system. Okay. If employees aren't engaged, they also may not understand some of the customer requirements, basically what their roles are within the company.
Okay.
That also could tie into any regulatory requirements that a company has to comply with. Could also negatively impact customer satisfaction or even just overall company performance as a whole.
Underlying thing there is communicating with them about what their role is, about how they help with customers, about how they're working within the company, all of those things.
Absolutely. And overall, we'll probably talk about this a little bit more later, but, overall company objectives, we kind of usually try to roll those down to different areas within a company. And it's important for them to understand their roles and how they contribute to achieving those within their particular function.
Right. Anything else? So
also, when you ensure active engagement of employees, they will have clear understanding of their role. So that's the positive piece, if there is that clear communication, and also how they help to contribute to achieving those objectives that we were talking about. In my experience, I found that basically what gets measured or communicated will get improved or show improvement. And when they are actively engaged, there's typically overall an improvement in company performance.
Okay. So we've determined that it's really important. Workforce engagement is extremely important. Could you give us an example of maybe how a robust employee engagement methodology might be put in place or what one might be?
Sure. So there's a lot of different initiatives that companies take. A big piece of that is kind of continuous improvement efforts, lean methodologies. But even before any of that starts, really one of the fundamental pieces is that solid orientation and onboarding program for employees whenever they join the company.
So not just throw them in the role and go, here you go, have fun. Really getting them the training they need, probably from their job as well as the quality management system.
Absolutely. They need to know certain ways that things function within a company because, every company is a little bit different. Yeah. So those clear expectations up front really help with employees as far as, understanding what their roles are. When they're placed in roles without a lot of training, they typically can flounder. Yeah. They might feel a little bit lost at times. So again, that orientation, having a good program in place for that is really starting at the forefront of all of your efforts.
I guess also showing them that you're open to be asked a question. I think a lot of new employees they want to do the right thing. They want to say, I know what I'm doing. They want to put a good foot forward and go, hey, I got this. So they might be a little more hesitant to ask questions, because they don't want to appear they're incapable. Making sure that, hey, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay we're here to help.
Absolutely. And then, after the onboarding orientation process, just having a general, robust, ongoing training program to kind of grow your employees. Mm-hmm. If a training program is laid out correctly, employees will be an appreciating asset for the company.
Okay.
So that's one of the few appreciating assets the companies have.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah.
So
because you're filling them, so they're going to fill the company.
Exactly. So, everything else, buildings, production equipment, computers, et cetera, they all depreciate over time, mm-hmm. where employees, they'll appreciate and value because, again, you're training them and, giving them the skill sets that they need to be effective in their roles.
Well, they should be at least, right?
That's correct.
If you're doing it correctly, if your methodology is in place.
That is correct.
What else you got?
Another important piece to get them engaged is kind of visit the employees in their work areas. Okay. So especially in production environments, it's really important to go to what they call the Gemba.
Okay, what's that?
So the Gemba, that's the actual Japanese term for the actual place where the work takes place.
Okay.
So by going there, you can talk to them in their work environments, look for recommendations for improvement, and seek out what their recommendations are.
Yeah, because they're the ones that are either doing the work or directly working with the customers that need help. Sure.
And even in today's workplace, there's some remote companies that the employees are working remotely. So mm-hmm. it's important to have kind of face-to-face Teams meetings or even occasionally bring employees in and, have a working session. So there's some face-to-face time there with them.
Yep. I know we do that. We do both here because we have people all over the country. Specifically in my manager, we have a weekly one-on-one. And it's not to give me work. It's to, how are you doing? What can I help with? Do you have any questions? Are you unclear? And I can't tell you how many times I'm just a little unclear on something and I don't really think about it, kind of like it's kind of in the back of my head, but I know, I could talk to her at that point and go, hey, I kind of had a little concern here. And it really assuages some of that fear and trepidation that might be there.
Absolutely.
And we do bring people in consultant-wise from all over the country. We try to get everybody together once a year. It's been a little bit more difficult since COVID, but face-to-face and really, there's nothing like that. No. There really isn't. So this is all great, good ideas. I'm going to go through what's called something new here. It's called a speed round. I'm just going to give you one word, and I'm going to, all of this is in regards to employee engagement. So tell me what pops in your head when you hear this word in regards to employee engagement. Feedback.
So feedback, that's something again, taking this kind of from a viewpoint as a leader within a company, but understanding how to effectively provide feedback to employees, that's really one of the most critical skills for a manager.
Yep.
A regular method of evaluating employee work and providing constructive feedback can be very effective to improve performance of your employees.
Okay.
And even the overall business as a whole. So it's important when you're looking at feedback to observe completion of daily tasks in the right environment. Again, mm-hmm. Where the work takes place. This ensures that, your feedback is based on facts, not just assumptions.
Okay.
So, prior to giving any feedback, I typically would like to go see, what's actually taking place in the actual work environment.
Now, what about feedback the other way that you get as a manager?
Yes. So basically, that all falls under continuous improvement. Mm-hmm. So, nothing's stagnant. Nobody has the best in end case for really any business process. Mm-hmm. So again, me personally, I'm always looking for ways to improve. So, I welcome constructive feedback. Again, make myself better as a manager. So
Exactly. Okay. Speed round question 2 or phrase 2, process creation.
So process creation can kind of come into two different aspects whenever you're looking to kind of define or, create a process that mm-hmm. you want people to follow. So one of the big things is you don't want to define a process in like a vacuum or a bubble.
Absolutely.
So you want to engage your employees when you're defining or kind of, standardizing a process. Mm-hmm. So it's important to include all employees that are involved with the process to ensure that the process is captured accurately.
Okay.
Again, we don't want any assumptions. In a production environment, this may mean going again to the Gemba.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or to where the work occurs. And by observing and engaging the employees there, you'll have a better and clearer understanding of what steps make up a process and that you're not overlooking anything.
Yep. And you're really getting them involved again where they can give you feedback or, hey, we've struggled with it this way and that wasn't really how we wanted to do it, but this is how it ended up fleshing out.
Absolutely.
All right, here's a good one. And when we're talking about employee engagement, this is kind of all of this is important, but this can be one that can really help with morale, and that is recognition.
That is a big one. So showing recognition, you want to do that on a regular basis. That can really help motivate employees and increase overall employee satisfaction levels. If there's been a recent project or initiative that was successfully executed, then, it's good to praise the team. Again, recognize them to show your appreciation of their contributions to the efforts. And then occasionally, when you're really with any change or even any initiative, there can be challenges that arise.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So if there are challenges that arise, you want to encourage employees to participate in like any troubleshooting or root cause analysis. Just, you're trying to detect what the issues are so you can try to prevent things from occurring. But you want to consider different points of view so that employees feel their ideas are valued.
Right.
By engaging employees to assist in those efforts, you show their work, ideas, and opinions are all important. And they're essential for the team to perform at a high level of engagement.
Yep. And giving them the recognition. I think there was something that was interesting, and I believe it was in a leadership course I took. The recognition can come in different manners. Some people just want to have the kudos. They just want to be, hey, everybody sees how good of a job I can do. Other people might have a monetary type thing. Their recognition is, hey, where's my bonus?
Yes.
There might be more time. Maybe they want more time off. So it's not always a one for one. And, it's sort of a joke, but, buying pizza for lunch isn't always what's necessary.
No, it's not always the biggest motivator.
Yeah, not the biggest motivator or show of recognition.
Yes.
It might be meant that way in some cases, but it doesn't necessarily,
Doesn't always come across
that way.
Yep.
All right. Another one for speed round. Organizational goals. You kind of touched on it.
Yep, a little bit. So obviously, as a company, you have overall organizational goals that you're trying to achieve. So the big piece is ensuring that all employees have a clear understanding of what those goals are within the company. And then besides just ensuring that they may know what they are, it's important that they understand how their role can impact whether you achieve those goals or not.
Yep. And I think that's one of the things about the quality policy, understanding how it affects you.
Yes, exactly. And, speaking of the quality policy, that's a question that when you're going through an audit, typically they're going to ask you not only do you know it, but do you understand how you help achieve and, meet that goal?
Exactly.
Or how you contribute to the policy. So with the overall organizational goals, it's important to cascade those down.
Okay.
So you want to have departmental goals. When you have departmental goals, employees are going to have a better understanding for how they then contribute to the overall company goal. So, for example, if you have a main company goal set as, say, 90% or greater for on-time delivery, having a goal of potentially 95% or greater uptime or 5% or less downtime, if you're talking about like a production environment, that's a goal that then can help be applicable to overall achievement of that on-time delivery goal.
And then how that affects your department.
That's right.
One, we want to do greater on-time delivery, so you guys should try to be up for 95 so we can hit that other one.
Yep. And those can even flow down to support areas like, your preventive maintenance team or, facilities team.
Right. You have something that, let's say it is manufacturing and a repair or calibration. This should only take up X amount of time.
Exactly.
So maybe, if you're in a production environment and there's a piece of equipment that's getting a little older.
Yes.
You communicate that so you can help hit those goals.
Absolutely. And then over time, again, you might have to even look into talking about some capital that might eventually have to go out. So there needs to be some planning involved so that you can replace some of the equipment that may be becoming outdated over time.
Yep. And with your QMS, all of this should be talked about in your management review, which we've talked about on here multiple times. All right. Probably what I would say is one of the most important aspects of employee engagement for the last speed round question, leadership.
So leadership, for the most part, really is leading by example.
Okay.
So ensuring that your team has a diversity of skills.
Okay.
So those are kind of the two big things. But leadership is understanding that you don't have all the answers. Everyone makes mistakes. So it's important not just to let a mistake define you or your company.
Okay.
So treat a mistake as a learning opportunity. And that's going to lend to an opportunity for improvement to maybe enhance a process or trying to mistake-proof a process. But managers can account for as much as 70% variance in successful employee engagement.
Wow.
efforts.
I knew it was important. I didn't realize it was 70% variance.
Yes.
Wow.
And that can highlight how critical it is for those in charge of guiding departments and teams to be equipped with the proper skills and knowledge that will bring out the best in their people.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, when a person feels seen and a person feels valued, I've said this ad nauseum on this podcast, people generally don't want to do a bad job. There's so many different ways you can have them disengage. And leaders are so important to make that person feel validated, important part of the team.
Exactly. And in the inverse, I mentioned that you want to make sure you have a diverse team.
Right.
So you don't want just yes men, basically, that are reporting to you. So I've seen leaders in my past that surround themselves with people that are just like them, which typically is not very effective. It's important to recognize your weaknesses as a leader and not amplify them.
Right.
So a good leader surrounds themselves with people that are going to have complementary skills.
And even as a leader, we do have different types of people that are difficult to work with, just from a personal relationship kind of, way. They're a little bit different than you. And that's still a learning experience to see how you can learn to work together and challenge each other, but do it in an environment that is the most proactive.
Exactly.
For the outcome. Well, this has been great. Hopefully some people that have listened hear some things they can take from this. I thought the speed round might be something fun when we're thinking about that, a little different than we've done before. It's been great talking with you. Do you have anything else that you might want to talk about or mention in regards to workforce engagement?
I think we've covered most things today. Again, it's really important not to overlook just, engaging your workforce and making sure that they feel valued, making sure they have a clear understanding of their roles within the company.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something you definitely don't want to overlook. Absolutely.
Well, really appreciate your time, Norm, walking us through engaging your workforce. Can't wait to have you on again.
Great. It's been great being here, Xavier.
Thanks so much. Well, we want to thank everyone who's listened to our podcast today. We hope it's been informative for you. Now, if you're looking for more information about how we can help you with your ISO certification or cybersecurity or even customized training, please email us at info@thecoresolution.com. You can also visit our website at www.thecoresolution.com. And if you haven't already followed us on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube, please be sure to do so. That way you won't miss the next Quality Hub podcast when it's released next week. Have a great day, everyone.